No secretary lasted a month with the jerk CEO until the stubborn, clumsy one arrived. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main character. Emma Brooks had never felt out of place in a room before. But as she walked into the upscale restaurant, her stomach churned. The soft hum of conversation and the clinking of silverware filled the air. The warm, subdued lighting cast a golden glow over the tables, each one carefully set as if it were a piece of art. But for Emma, none of this felt real. She was just a small-town girl in a second-hand dress, scuffed shoes, and hands that shook with nerves. She had promised her best friend Jenny that she would show up for the blind date, but now that she was standing here, she regretted it. She clutched her phone, trying to steady her shaking hands, and muttered under her breath, "Table 7, Table 7." Her heart pounded as she scanned the room, her eyes landing on a sharply dressed man sitting alone at the back of the restaurant. He was tall, his dark hair neatly styled, and he seemed engrossed in his phone. That must be him, she thought. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward him, forcing a bright smile on her face. "Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you." The man looked up, startled. He blinked at her for a moment, clearly confused. Hi Emma," he said, his voice low and hesitant. Emma misread his hesitation as shyness and slid into the seat across from him, still fidgeting nervously with her napkin. "Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us." Liam Parker opened his mouth to correct her, but hesitated, looking at his phone one last time before deciding to play along. His business associate had just canceled their meeting, and something about Emma's earnestness made him pause. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. "Right. Blind dates are something else," he replied softly. Emma laughed nervously, taking a sip of water. "Tell me about it. Jenny's been trying to set me up for months. But I've been too busy with work, you know." "Work?" Liam asked, his curiosity piqued despite himself. "I'm a waitress," Emma admitted, fiddling with the edge of her napkin. "Not exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills well, most of them anyway." Liam smiled, genuinely interested. "What do you do?" "Oh, you know, work in tech. Apps, coding, that sort of thing." Emma laughed, a bit embarrassed. "I'm terrible with computers." Liam smiled again, but this time it was warmer, more genuine. As they continued talking, Emma shared stories about her shifts at the diner, her struggles with paying rent, and her dream of one day opening her own art studio. Liam found himself laughing more than he had in months. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and despite the fact that she had mistakenly thought he was someone else, he couldn't help but feel intrigued by her. They both lost track of time as they shared more stories, the conversation flowing smoothly. But just as Emma was about to ask him more about his work in tech, her phone buzzed. "Hey Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Her heart sank as she reread the message slowly. She looked up at Liam, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam's smile faltered, a flash of guilt flickering in his eyes. "No, I'm not." Emma's stomach churned as the reality of the situation hit her. "Oh my God," she muttered, standing abruptly. "I'm so sorry. I sat at the wrong table. This is so embarrassing." She grabbed her coat and bolted for the door, her face flushed with shame. Liam watched her go, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had intended to correct her right away, but now, as he watched her rush out of the restaurant, he found himself wondering if he'd ever see her again, and why the thought of not seeing her bothered him so much. The next morning, Emma woke up to a strange feeling. The events of the previous night kept replaying in her mind. She had run out of the restaurant in embarrassment, sure that she had just ruined what could have been a decent blind date. But even as she scolded herself, something lingered, a feeling that she had missed something important, A part of her couldn't shake the thought of Liam Parker, the man who wasn't Kevin. He had been so kind, so easy to talk to, even though she had completely misread the situation. He's just another rich guy, Emma thought, trying to dismiss the nagging feeling. There's no way he'd be interested in someone like me. She pushed herself out of bed and went about her morning routine, preparing for her shift at the diner. The day passed like any other, with Emma moving through her work with her usual blend of determination and awkwardness. She couldn't help but steal glances at the clock, counting down the hours until she could go home and forget about the blind date. But as the evening shift approached, something unexpected happened. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Emma. It's Liam, from last night. I hope you're doing well. I know we got off to a rocky start, but I'd like to make it up to you. Would you be interested in meeting for coffee? I promise I'm not Kevin." She stared at the screen in disbelief. Her heart skipped a beat. Was this really happening? Why would Liam want to meet her again after the way she had bolted from the restaurant? She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the screen. Maybe he just feels bad for me, she thought. But then, another part of her whispered, what if he really wants to get to know you? After a moment of indecision, she typed a quick reply. I'd like that. Let's meet at 2 p.m. tomorrow. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. As soon as she put the phone down, Emma felt a rush of excitement mixed with nervousness. What was she getting herself into? The next day, Emma arrived at the cafe early, her nerves a little on edge. The place was cozy, with soft jazz music playing in the background and the smell of freshly brewed coffee in the air. She sat at a small table by the window, trying to steady her hands as she fidgeted with her phone. She kept glancing at the door, wondering if Liam would show up. She had no idea what to expect. Would he be awkward? Would he even remember her? She had barely had a chance to talk to him before she had run away in embarrassment. When Liam finally walked in, it was hard to miss him. He was dressed casually but still looked incredibly polished, as if he were just stepping out of a business meeting. His dark hair was a bit messy, but in a way that only made him look more charming. As he spotted her, his face lit up with a smile, and he walked over to her table. Hey, Emma, he said, sitting down across from her. I'm really glad you agreed to meet. Emma smiled nervously, trying to keep the conversation light. Yeah, I'm surprised you wanted to after, everything. Liam chuckled, his eyes warm. I thought about it a lot last night. Honestly, I was more concerned about how you were feeling than anything else. Emma blinked, a little taken aback. Really? I thought you'd be annoyed, or at least think I was crazy for running out like that. Not at all, Liam replied with a shrug. I've been in awkward situations myself, so I get it. Besides, you were just being honest. I guess that's one way to put it, Emma said with a nervous laugh. But you were pretty calm about it. Well, Liam said, leaning in slightly. I've learned not to jump to conclusions. You seemed real, and I appreciate that. Emma felt a small flutter in her chest at his words. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their coffee. Emma found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't expected. It felt different from the other times she had met someone for coffee or a date. With Liam, there was no pressure, no expectation, just two people having a conversation. So, what's your story, Emma? Liam asked after a moment. What do you want to do with your life? Emma hesitated. She wasn't used to talking about her dreams or ambitions. She usually kept them to herself, afraid of being judged or dismissed. But something about Liam made her feel safe. I want to open an art studio, she said quietly. It's been my dream for a while, but... She paused, unsure of how to continue. But you're stuck working at the diner, right? Liam finished for her. Emma nodded, a little embarrassed. Yeah, it's not exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills. Liam said thoughtfully, I think you could make it happen. You have the passion, and that's the hardest part. You just need the right opportunities. Emma looked up at him, her heart racing. You really think so? Liam smiled. I do. You just need to believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. It wasn't the kind of thing she was used to hearing. It felt like a dream, and for a moment, she wondered if she was just imagining it. But looking into Liam's eyes, she realized he was sincere. He wasn't just saying it to make her feel better, he believed in her. And that meant everything. The next few days passed in a blur for Emma. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam and the way he had made her feel like, maybe, just maybe, her dreams weren't so impossible after all. She went to work at the diner with a new sense of purpose, her mind constantly wandering back to that coffee date. Liam had said he believed in her, but Emma wasn't sure she could believe in herself just yet. Still, the words lingered, echoing in her mind as she served coffee and cleaned tables. On the third day after their meeting, Emma received another message from Liam. "I was thinking about our conversation," it read. "I'd love to help you with your art studio. If you're serious about it, I can connect you with some people who can make it happen." Emma stared at the message for a moment, her heart skipping a beat. Was he serious? Was this really happening? She felt a mixture of excitement and fear bubble up inside her. This was everything she had ever wanted, but she had no idea what to expect. Was she ready for this kind of opportunity? Could she trust him? Her fingers trembled as she typed a reply. "Thank you, Liam. I really appreciate it. I would love to talk more." A few minutes later, Liam called her. "Hey, Emma. I'm glad you're interested. How about we meet up again tomorrow, and I'll explain more?" Emma agreed without hesitation. The next day, she found herself sitting across from Liam at the same cafe they had met before. As she waited for him to arrive, she couldn't help but wonder what this meeting would mean. Would this be the turning point in her life, or just another empty promise? When Liam walked in, he smiled at her, his warm, reassuring presence instantly putting her at ease. "Thanks for meeting with me again," he said as he sat down. "I know this is a big step for you, and I want to make sure you're comfortable." "I'm just a little overwhelmed," Emma admitted, her voice soft. "I've never had anyone believe in me like this before," Liam nodded. "I understand, but I see something in you, Emma. I've worked with a lot of people, but there's something about you. You have a fire that most people don't have." Emma blushed, feeling both grateful and nervous. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Liam replied gently. "Just know that I'm here to help you, but ultimately, the success will be up to you. You're the one who has to take the leap." He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers. Emma looked at it, unsure of what to do, but something in her gut told her to take the chance. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. The touch was warm, comforting, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt like maybe she could take that leap. "Okay," she said, her voice steady now. "I'm ready to try." Liam smiled, his eyes bright with pride. "I knew you would be. I'll set up a meeting with a few people who can help with the business side of things. We'll take it one step at a time." Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in her life, she felt like she had someone in her corner, someone who believed in her more than she believed in herself. Over the next few weeks, Emma worked closely with Liam's contacts. She started to learn about the logistics of starting a business, the permits, the paperwork, the funding, and slowly, she began to see her dream of an art studio becoming a reality. Liam continued to support her, offering advice and encouragement every step of the way. During that time, Emma and Liam grew closer. Their professional relationship began to feel more personal as they spent hours discussing ideas, sharing stories, and laughing together. Emma found herself looking forward to their meetings more than she had expected. One night, as they were leaving a meeting with a potential investor, Liam surprised her. "You've come a long way, Emma," he said quietly, as they walked through the parking lot. "I'm proud of you." Emma smiled up at him, her heart warming at his words. "I couldn't have done it without you." Liam paused, his hand brushing against hers. "You know, Emma, I think I'm starting to look forward to seeing you in a lot more than just business meetings." Emma's heart skipped a beat at the implication. She looked up at him, her breath catching in her throat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them was thick with unspoken words. Finally, Liam broke the silence, his voice low. "What do you think? Would you be open to, maybe exploring something more?" Emma's pulse quickened as she met his gaze. She had never expected this, but now that it was happening, she realized she had been feeling the same way. "I think I'd like that," she said softly. With that, Liam leaned in, his lips brushing hers in a gentle, tentative kiss. It was a moment that felt both inevitable and new, like the beginning of something beautiful. As they pulled away, Emma couldn't help but smile. Maybe, just maybe, she was finally on the path to the life she had always dreamed of, not just as an artist, but as someone who had found something more important than success: love. As the weeks passed, Emma's art studio began to take shape, and with it, so did her growing connection with Liam. The early days of their professional relationship had transformed into something far more personal. They spent more and more time together, discussing ideas for her studio, but also sharing more about their lives. Emma had always kept her guard up, afraid of opening up to anyone. But with Liam, it felt different. He had never pressured her, never pushed for more than she was ready to give. But there was an undeniable chemistry between them. One evening, as they were finishing up a late-night meeting at the office, Emma looked at Liam, feeling a sense of contentment she hadn't felt in years. The space they were in was finally starting to feel like hers. "I can't believe this is happening," she said softly, running her fingers over the architectural plans for her studio. "I actually see it all coming together." Liam, who had been quietly watching her, smiled and nodded. "You've worked hard for this, Emma. You deserve it." His words meant more to her than she could express, and she felt her chest tighten with gratitude. She had always believed her dreams were out of reach, but with Liam's support, everything was changing. As they sat there in the quiet, Emma found herself lost in thought. Her heart had begun to shift too. There was something about Liam, the way he had always been there for her, believing in her even when she didn't believe in herself, that made her feel like maybe she could take a leap of faith. "Liam," she began, her voice tentative, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about where this is going." Liam's eyes softened, and he leaned forward slightly. "I've been thinking about that too," he admitted, his voice low. "What are you thinking?" Emma hesitated, but then, with a deep breath, she decided to speak her truth. "I know we've been working together for a while now, and it's been amazing, more than I ever expected. But I think I'm starting to feel something for you." She paused, watching his reaction carefully. He didn't say anything at first, but his gaze never left hers. After a moment, he reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I feel the same way," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "I've never met anyone like you, Emma. You're strong, talented, and so full of life. I admire that more than you know." Emma's heart raced at his words, and she felt a mix of excitement and fear. She had always been afraid of vulnerability, afraid of letting someone in, but with Liam, it felt different. "But are you sure?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if things don't work out? What if it ruins everything we've built together?" Liam smiled gently, squeezing her hand. "Emma, we can't let fear stop us from living. What we have is real, and I'm willing to take that risk if you are." His words settled deep inside her, and for the first time, Emma realized she was ready to take that leap, to trust someone fully. She nodded, a smile spreading across her face. "I'm ready," she whispered, and with that, everything between them shifted. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam's relationship blossomed. They spent more time together outside of the office, going for walks in the park, enjoying quiet dinners, and even visiting art galleries, where Emma's passion for painting could truly shine. She could feel herself growing, not just as an artist, but as a person. And Liam was there for all of it. He encouraged her every step of the way, never doubting her, always believing in her potential. One afternoon, after a particularly successful meeting with a potential investor for her studio, Emma found herself standing outside, staring at the sunset. Liam joined her, his presence comforting as always. "I can't believe how far we've come," she said, her voice full of awe. "This is all really happening." Liam smiled, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "I always knew it would. You just needed to believe in yourself." She looked up at him, her heart full. "And I couldn't have done it without you." Liam turned to face her, his expression soft and sincere. "You never had to do it alone, Emma. I've always been here, and I always will be." With that, Liam leaned in and kissed her gently, a kiss that sealed their bond, a promise of support, love, and the future they would build together. Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her, knowing that whatever came next, they would face it together. The future was bright, and it was theirs to shape. The days that followed felt like a dream come true for Emma. As her art studio took shape, she found herself growing in ways she had never imagined. She had always kept a wall around her heart, afraid of being hurt. But with Liam, the wall was slowly crumbling. He had been her rock, supporting her every step of the way. Not just with the studio, but with her personal dreams as well. They spent more time together, not just working but enjoying each other's company. Dinner dates, late-night walks under the stars, and lazy afternoons at art galleries became part of their routine. Emma was starting to realize that she had never been truly happy until now. But as much as things were falling into place, there was still one lingering fear deep within her, the fear that all of this might just be too good to be true. One afternoon, as they sat in a small park near her studio, Emma couldn't help but voice her concerns. "Liam, I've been thinking," she started, her voice a bit hesitant. "What if I'm just getting caught up in this? What if everything falls apart?" Liam turned to face her, his eyes filled with understanding. "Emma," he said softly, "I know it's hard to believe that good things can happen sometimes. But what we have is real. You're not just a part of this dream because of what you can offer. You're a part of it because I believe in you. I believe in us." His words settled in her chest like a warm hug. But she still couldn't shake the doubt in her mind. "I know you believe in me. But what if I mess it all up? What if I'm not ready for all of this?" Liam reached out, taking her hand in his grip firm yet gentle. "I'll be here every step of the way, Emma. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. We'll do this together. And even if things get tough, I'll be by your side." Emma looked at him, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel alone. "Thank you," she whispered, squeezing his hand in return. That night, as she lay in bed, Emma thought about everything she had gone through to get to this point, the struggles, the doubts, the fears, but also the incredible support she had found in Liam. She knew it wasn't going to be easy, but for the first time in her life, she felt like she was truly ready to face whatever came her way. The next few weeks brought more progress. The studio was coming together beautifully, and Emma had already started working on her first gallery show. The excitement of seeing her dream come to life was overwhelming, but it was also terrifying. One day, as she was meeting with a potential client for her studio, Liam showed up unexpectedly. He had been working late at his office, but he wanted to surprise her. As he walked into the studio, his eyes lit up at the sight of her work. "This is incredible, Emma," he said, looking around the room. "You've done something amazing here." Emma smiled, feeling a rush of pride at his words. "It's still a work in progress," she admitted, "but I'm really proud of it." Liam walked up to her, taking her hand. "You should be. I knew from the moment I met you that you were capable of great things." His words warmed her heart, and she realized that, for the first time, she wasn't just proud of the work she was doing, she was proud of herself. The next week, they went out for dinner at a small, intimate restaurant. And as they sat across from each other, the tension between them grew. Emma could feel her heart beating faster, unsure of what to expect next. She knew they had reached a point where they could no longer ignore what was growing between them. "Liam," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "I know things have been moving quickly, but I want to be sure about us. I don't want to rush into something that might not work." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his eyes serious. "I've been thinking about that too, Emma, and I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not rushing you. What we have is real, and I'm willing to wait for you to be ready." His words hit her like a wave, and Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. For the first time, she realized that Liam wasn't just offering her a business partnership, he was offering her his heart. The realization filled her with a mix of excitement and fear, but the fear didn't feel as overwhelming as it had before. Emma knew that she was ready to take the next step. "I think I'm ready," she whispered, looking into his eyes. A slow smile spread across Liam's face as he squeezed her hand. "Then let's do this, together." That night, as they walked back to her studio, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. She was no longer the girl who had walked into that diner unsure of her future. She was a woman who had found something even more valuable than success. She had found love, and she was ready to embrace it. The weeks that followed were filled with excitement and challenges for Emma. Her art studio was finally up and running, and her first gallery show was just around the corner. The pressure was building, but so was her confidence. With Liam by her side, she felt like she could face anything that came her way. They continued to grow closer, their connection deepening every day. The moments they shared, whether it was working late together or simply enjoying quiet evenings at home, felt like a dream. Emma had never imagined that her life would change so drastically, and yet here she was, living the life she had always dreamed of. But even with all the progress, there was one lingering doubt in the back of her mind. As much as she loved Liam, she still couldn't shake the fear of failure. The art world was unpredictable, and the pressure to succeed was immense. One evening, as they were leaving the studio after a long day, Emma finally voiced her concerns. "Liam, I've been thinking, what if I'm not cut out for this? What if everything falls apart and I let you down?" Liam stopped in his tracks and turned to face her. "Emma, I don't want you to carry that burden alone. We're in this together, and I believe in you. You've already done so much. Your art speaks for itself." Emma looked down at her feet, unsure of how to respond. She had worked so hard to get here, but the fear of failure still loomed over her. Liam reached for her hand, his grip strong and comforting. "It's okay to feel scared," he said gently, "but don't let that stop you from moving forward. I'm here for you, every step of the way. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Just take it one day at a time." His words were exactly what she needed to hear. For the first time in weeks, Emma felt a sense of calm wash over her. Liam wasn't just offering her a chance at success, he was offering her his unwavering support. And with that, Emma made a decision. She would take the leap, even if she wasn't sure where it would lead. The next few days flew by in a whirlwind of preparations for the gallery show. Emma spent hours putting together the final pieces, ensuring everything was perfect. Liam was there with her every step of the way, helping her with the logistics, offering advice, and making sure she felt supported. The night of the show, Emma could hardly believe it was happening. The gallery was beautiful, the space filled with her work, and she could feel the energy in the air as guests arrived. As she stood near the entrance, greeting people, her nerves began to settle. She could see how much her work meant to others, and that was enough to quiet the doubts in her mind. Liam joined her shortly after, his presence a calming force, as always. "You look amazing," he said, smiling warmly at her. "You've done something incredible here." Emma smiled back, feeling her heart swell. "I couldn't have done it without you." They shared a quiet moment, just the two of them, as the night went on. The show was a success, far beyond Emma's expectations. People were moved by her art, and the compliments kept coming. As the evening wound down, Emma felt a sense of pride that she had never known before. She had done it. She had made her dream a reality. Later that night, as they walked home, Liam turned to her with a grin on his face. "I knew you had it in you," he said, his voice full of pride. "You're amazing, Emma." She smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied softly. "You've always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." Liam stopped walking for a moment, turning her to face him. "I'll always believe in you, Emma," he said earnestly. "Because I know that whatever you set your mind to, you'll make it happen. And no matter what, I'll be right here by your side." Emma felt her heart skip a beat as she looked up at him. It wasn't just his words that made her heart race, it was the sincerity behind them. She knew, deep down, that Liam was the one she had been waiting for, the one who had helped her believe in herself, and in love, again. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. And with that, Liam leaned in, gently kissing her lips, sealing the unspoken promise that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. Emma knew then that she was ready for whatever came next, as long as Liam was by her side. The weeks following the gallery show were a whirlwind of success and new challenges for Emma. The art studio was thriving, and her work was beginning to get more attention than she had ever imagined. With Liam by her side, everything felt possible. They spent even more time together, not just working but enjoying their growing connection. Emma had never expected that a simple blind date would lead to this, her dream career, her own studio, and a relationship with someone who truly cared about her. But even as things seemed to be falling perfectly into place, there was an unexpected turn of events that shook Emma to her core. One afternoon, as she was preparing for a new exhibition, Emma received a call from one of the investors she had been working with. The tone in their voice was more formal than usual, and Emma felt a pang of worry in her chest. "Emma," the voice on the other end said, "we've had a change in priorities, and unfortunately, we will no longer be able to continue with the funding for your project." Emma's heart dropped. "Wait, what?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We've decided to invest elsewhere," the voice continued. "But we appreciate the work you've done so far." The call ended abruptly, and Emma stood there, holding her phone, in complete disbelief. Everything had been going so well, her studio was flourishing, her art was gaining recognition, and now, just like that, it felt like it was all slipping away. She stared out the window, the bustling city street outside blurring in front of her. A wave of panic started to rise inside her, but she quickly shook it off. She couldn't let this setback ruin everything. She knew she had to find a way to move forward. As the day went on, Emma's mind raced with solutions. She thought about calling Liam, but she didn't want to burden him with her worries. After all, he had already done so much for her, and she didn't want to seem like she was relying on him too much. But as the evening approached, Emma found herself sitting in her studio, overwhelmed by the weight of the situation. Just then, she heard a knock on the door. She looked up, startled, and saw Liam standing in the doorway. "You left the office earlier than usual," he said, his voice light, but there was concern in his eyes. Emma sighed and stood up, walking over to him. I got some bad news," she said softly. "One of the investors pulled out. They're no longer going to fund the studio." Liam's face softened with understanding as he stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. "I'm sorry, Emma," he said, pulling her into a hug. "But you don't have to face this alone." She rested her head against his chest, feeling the warmth of his embrace, but a wave of frustration washed over her. "I don't know what to do," she whispered. "I thought everything was finally working out, and now it feels like it's all falling apart." Liam pulled back slightly, gently lifting her chin so that she met his gaze. "Listen to me, Emma," he said, his voice firm but kind. "This is just a setback, not the end of the road. You've come so far, and you're not going to let this stop you. I believe in you." Emma's eyes welled up with tears. She had been holding everything in, trying to stay strong, but now, in Liam's arms, it felt like she could finally let go. "What if I can't do it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "What if I'm just not cut out for this?" Liam's hands cupped her face gently. "You're more than capable, Emma. You've proven that time and time again. You don't need anyone's approval to know your worth." His words sunk in, and for the first time in hours, Emma felt a sense of clarity. She had always been afraid of failure, but with Liam by her side, she knew she could face whatever came next. "You're right," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I can't let this stop me. I'll find another way." Liam smiled, pride shining in his eyes. "That's the spirit," he said, kissing her forehead softly. "And no matter what happens, I'm here with you, every step of the way." Emma looked up at him, a new determination forming within her. She was ready to face the challenges ahead, knowing that with Liam's support, she would never have to do it alone. As the days passed, Emma began to take action. She reached out to other potential investors, explored new partnerships, and even started looking into crowdfunding for the studio. Slowly but surely, things started to fall into place again. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of doubt, but Emma refused to give up. She had worked too hard, and she knew she had what it took to make it. One evening, a few weeks later, as Emma and Liam sat together at the studio, looking over the new plans, Liam turned to her with a smile. "I knew you could do it," he said. "You always find a way." Emma grinned, her heart full. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. Liam took her hand in his, squeezing it gently. "And I'll always be here to help you," he replied. As they stood together, looking at the future they were building, Emma felt a sense of peace settle over her. With Liam by her side, she knew she could handle anything life threw her way. As the months passed, Emma's art studio continued to grow, and with it, her confidence. The challenges she had faced seemed so distant now, a reminder of how far she had come. She had not only survived the obstacles in her path, but she had thrived, and the studio had become a reflection of her heart and soul. It was more than just a space for her art, it was a place where dreams were realized, and she couldn't have been prouder of how far she had come. Liam had always been by her side, offering support, encouragement, and the occasional surprise to keep her spirits high. The connection they shared had only deepened, and the love between them was undeniable. But as much as things were falling into place, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of fear creeping in. It wasn't about her art or her studio anymore. It was about something deeper, her relationship with Liam. They had been inseparable for months, but Emma still had a fear buried deep inside her. A fear of being vulnerable, of trusting that something so beautiful could last. It wasn't that she didn't believe in Liam. She did, wholeheartedly. But her past had taught her to be cautious, and this love felt too perfect, too fragile. One evening, after a particularly busy day at the studio, Emma and Liam sat together in the cozy corner of the cafe they had frequented since their first date. The evening air was cool, and the dim lighting created an intimate atmosphere. Emma looked at Liam, her mind swirling with thoughts, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. Liam noticed the change in her demeanor and set down his cup of coffee. "Emma, what's going on?" he asked gently. She hesitated, looking out the window for a moment before turning back to him. "I'm just scared," she said quietly. "Scared of what?" Liam asked, his voice full of concern. "Scared of losing everything," Emma admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I've worked so hard to get here, and I don't want to lose it. But more than that, I don't want to lose us." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Emma, listen to me," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "You don't have to worry about losing us. What we have is real. We've been through so much together, and we've built something strong. I'm not going anywhere." His words hit her like a wave, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt the weight of her fear lift. She had always been afraid of love, of letting herself truly feel. But Liam had shown her that love wasn't something to fear, it was something to embrace. "I want this," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "I want us. I just needed to hear you say it." Liam smiled, his eyes softening as he squeezed her hand. "I'm here, Emma, for as long as you'll have me." The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of them, in that moment, with a promise to face whatever the future held together. As the evening continued, Emma felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She had always kept a part of herself hidden, afraid of being vulnerable. But now she realized that allowing herself to love and be loved was the greatest strength she could ever have. The next day, Emma woke up with a renewed sense of clarity. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had Liam, she had her studio, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. Life had a way of surprising her, but for the first time, she felt like she could handle whatever was thrown her way. Liam had been right together. They could face anything. A few weeks later, as Emma prepared for her second solo exhibition, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey she had been on. From the nervous waitress at the diner to the confident business owner standing before a room full of art enthusiasts, Emma had come a long way. She had learned that it was okay to take risks, to trust, and to believe in herself. The exhibition was a huge success, even more so than the first. And as Emma looked around at the guests admiring her work, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. Liam stood beside her, as always, and Emma realized that, in that moment, everything was exactly as it was meant to be. As the evening drew to a close, Liam turned to Emma with a smile. "I'm so proud of you," he said, his voice full of admiration. Emma smiled back, her heart full. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. They stood there for a moment, hand in hand, knowing that no matter where their journey took them, they would always have each other. Together, they had built something beautiful, and Emma was more certain than ever that the best was yet to come. As the year came to a close, Emma stood at the threshold of her art studio, looking out over the bustling street. The city had changed in subtle ways, and so had she. It had been a year filled with triumphs, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but also a year of incredible growth. The gallery shows, the new clients, the recognition from her peers, it all felt surreal. But what made this year truly unforgettable wasn't just the success of her art. It was the love and support she had found in Liam, the man who had believed in her even when she couldn't believe in herself. Together, they had faced challenges, but they had also built something beautiful. They had created a life together, a life full of possibility and hope. Emma smiled to herself as she thought about how far they had come. A year ago, she would have never imagined standing here, on the edge of the future, filled with so much promise. She had once been afraid of taking risks, of letting herself love and be loved. But now, with Liam by her side, she knew that love was not something to fear. It was something to cherish. As if on cue, Liam walked into the studio, his face lighting up when he saw her standing there. "Hey you," he said, his voice warm and familiar. "What are you thinking about?" Emma turned to him, her eyes sparkling with emotion. "I was just thinking about how far we've come," she said softly. "How much we've accomplished, and how much more we can do together." Liam stepped closer, taking her hand in his. "You've done amazing things, Emma. I'm so proud of you. And we're just getting started." Emma smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. She had learned so much in the past year, not just about art, but about life, about love, and about herself. She had learned that no dream was too big if you were willing to work for it, and that love wasn't just something you received, it was something you gave. "I never thought I could have all of this," Emma said, her voice full of wonder. "The studio, the success, and most importantly, you." Liam grinned, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "And I never thought I could find someone like you," he said, his eyes soft with affection. "Someone who challenges me, who inspires me every day." Emma laughed softly, feeling the warmth of his words in her heart. "I think we've both surprised each other," she said, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, there was a silence between them, a quiet understanding that they didn't need words to express the depth of their feelings for each other. Everything they had worked for, everything they had been through, had led them to this moment. It wasn't just about the success they had achieved, it was about the journey they had taken together. As they stood there, hand in hand, Emma knew that this was only the beginning. They had a lifetime ahead of them, filled with new adventures, new dreams, and new challenges. But with Liam by her side, Emma felt ready to face whatever the future held. They would face it together, just as they always had. "Are you ready for the next chapter?" Liam asked, his voice full of hope and excitement. Emma smiled, her heart full of love and anticipation. "I am," she said softly. "As long as we're together, I'm ready for anything." And with that, they turned towards the future, knowing that whatever came their way, they would face it side by side, hand in hand. They had built something beautiful, and they were just getting started. This heartwarming tale is one of the most captivating millionaire stories that showcases the power of love, personal growth, and overcoming obstacles. Follow Emma's journey from a struggling waitress to a successful art studio owner, all thanks to the unwavering support of a millionaire who believed in her from the start. Their connection grows deeper with each passing day, proving that true love and success are built on trust, support, and taking risks together. As their relationship flourishes, Emma learns that love is not something to fear but something to embrace. This touching story highlights the emotional transformation that takes place when a seemingly ordinary person gets the chance to chase their dreams with the help of a caring millionaire. Watch as Emma's dream of opening her own studio turns into a reality, proving that when you have someone by your side, you can achieve anything. These millionaire stories are a testament to how love and kindness can change a life. Discover how Emma overcomes her deepest fears and builds a future full of love, creativity, and success in this beautiful narrative that will leave you inspired. The magic of millionaire stories is that they remind us that with the right person by your side, anything is possible, and dreams can truly come true. Emma's journey from doubt to success is a perfect example of how love and belief in someone can help them unlock their full potential. Don't miss this incredible story of growth, love, and the power of support in the world of millionaire stories.